And we're back for another Patreon episode. So this one is on a buddy cop movie. Buddy cop movie that should have been better than what it was. I suggested this one. I suggested Tango and Cash. Tango and Cash is a movie that I enjoy the movie in jest, but I know it's not a good movie. It's like three movies like slapped together into one. The production of this movie was a mess. 3 separate directors. There's just a giant catastrophe trying to get this thing made. Stallone is in it with Kurt Russell, and it's like these two work really well together, and they have great chemistry, but damn, like the movie is just a giant train wreck. Like nothing makes sense. The plot is ridiculous. The final act of this movie is I think Seth even said, yeah, to fix this movie, the last 30 minutes of the movie doesn't exist. It's like, that's your big fix. Take out the last 30 minutes. It's got some good stuff in it. There's some great jokes in it. Robert Zadar, rest in peace, great Robert Zadar. He's in it. It's one of his most well-known roles. It's just, God, it's just a catastrophe, and it's really a big letdown. And there was talk of doing a sequel for years and years, but this movie didn't make any money, and the buddy cop genre has kind of died out. I mean, we don't really get movies like this anymore. There's been talk of doing a new Lethal Weapon for a while now. I don't know if it's going to happen. But yeah, buddy cop movies, probably, better left alone. It's just a dead genre. There's no reason to go back to it. And what are you going to do? Now bring back Stallone and Kurt Russell when they're in their 70s? It's like, it just seems a little sad and pathetic to do that at this point. There's not really a point to doing it. You've already missed your window. But overall, we had fun doing this film rescue. I suggested this, I think back when we did the Hobbs and Shaw episode. I just kind of popped into my head because we were talking about Hobbs and Shaw, and it was like, oh, it's like Tango and Cash. And I was like, oh yeah, Tango and Cash. That'd be a good one to put on Film Rescue one day, and here it is. So yeah, here it is. Here is the Patreon edit of our Film Rescue for Tango and Cash. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Film Rescue Show. We're lending a helping hand to Hollywood in fixing their feature films. I'm joined today by all 3 of our hosts, Jesse, Aaron, and Josh, and today we are talking about something that's been requested and tossed around and tossed aside, and we're finally getting around to it.
Salad.
Yeah, that was about 45 minutes into the movie. We're talking
Didn't
Tango
realize
and
we watched
Cash.
gay porn on this show.
It is a Tango and Cash time, guys. Directed by Andrei Konchalovsky. Damn, I got it.
Nice. Nailed it.
This is one of my favorite genres, and actually 2 of my favorite genres in one movie. So how did they mess it up? That's going to be my question. Guys, welcome to the show, and let's get started. This was my first time watching.
So I'm going to say this on the air. For the first 2 weeks we were mentioning the fact that this film was coming up, thought that we were talking about Turner and Hooch. And I made a reference in the chat that Jesse didn't understand. And then I'm like, no, who's the dog or something like that. And then it was when we realized that it was a completely different movie.
Is it completely different though?
I hope there wasn't that much homoeroticism with Hooch and Turner. That's all I'm saying.
Good point.
This came out at that weird nexus of action comedies being the main thing, and so but I don't feel like this movie got the letter that the tone wasn't supposed to be so aggressively. I don't know. Let's talk about positives first.
Yeah.
I got some positives.
Perfect. Go. You could go first then.
Yes. Okay. So why does Sylvester Stallone's ass look so good in that suit? Can we stop for a moment and discuss? There is so much homoerotic imagery in this, and just sexy man ass, and nice chiseled chests and chins, and everybody is wet all the time. Everyone's wet all the time. All of the men are wet and partially naked, and like their clothes are torn. And it's like that trope with Padme, where in the second film they're fighting those big monsters, and she gets her shirt cut off, and then you get that like strip of her midriff. It's that just with dudes, and I'm like, this movie sucks, but God, is it gay? And I love it.
This was at a time when these two guys, Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell, were in the best shape of their lives.
Yes, and I successfully
this is their
predicted
prime.
the shower scene.
The same year as this came out, Rambo 3 came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Stallone was in peak physical form. I think that was it Big Trouble in Little China came out not too long before this.
Pretty much. Yeah.
2 years before, I think.
Yeah. So Kurt Russell's looking really good. So you have these guys that are like in their prime.
Yeah.
Oh, he was doing some roids back then. He must have, because he's not a very large man, and his arms were gigantic.
Yeah, but according to Sylvester, Rambo is a pussy.
I love that.
The film is very self-aware.
It was very self-aware. There was a lot of good one-liners. Like, the script was about 85% one-liners, and I watched this interesting documentary on Aaron Sorkin and unnatural versus natural dialogue, so I was just picking out how unnatural the dialogue was, but because it was just such a classical, cheesy 80s film, which I was born in the 80s, this feels like my childhood. Intellectually, I realized that it's cheesy enough to be bad, but oh my God, is it nostalgia boner? But the cheesy one-liners were just getting me off, man.
If I had to compliment like one like genuinely majorly good thing, it would be the interactions between Kurt Russell and Stallone. Like that, I don't
They
know
have
if
great
it
chemistry.
They really do. They really do. And is some of that ad-libbed? Do you think they were making up stuff on the set, or is the writer just like that good at writing the kind of thing that would use that good chemistry that well? I couldn't stop watching anytime they were on the screen, even though I was actively like pissed off by other stuff happening around them.
Same, exactly. This is one of my favorite movies this season, at least to hate, because there were a lot of parts that were redeeming in those interactions. And one of the things that I couldn't stop thinking is that if this movie would have come out 5 years later, if it would have been like a 94 or 96 summer blockbuster or something like that, how many of these scenes would have just turned into giant no homo jokes? Like, this movie this kind of like you know how Top Gun has the oiled up volleyball scene, and it's gay, but everybody ignores it and loves it for it. And I was really impressed by that in a lot of the 80s films that I've watched in the past, and you couldn't have a lot of that. Even today, it's not as common to have those type of like just bro moments. We're just now with the Avengers films getting into action bromances again, and I missed that. This is an action bromance.
Well, how many gay insults did they sling at each other? Like, everybody participated in it. It was the two.
Yes.
It was Sylvester. It was Kurt. It was the director or whatever, the captain of the police force. It was everybody, even the prisoners. I mean, obviously the prisoners, I suppose.
This whole movie had a case of the not gays.
Yeah.
But it's the gayest movie ever made.
Yes. It's weird because a lot of times when you have those comments like, oh, no homo in like 90s films, it makes the interaction awkward or it negates the emotional value of the scene.
Yeah, it's more gay bashing at that point instead of trying to like accuse someone. You know what I mean? It's more accusatory, I suppose.
Yeah. I don't know. I normally don't really like that stuff as a queer woman, but I didn't really have a problem with it as much in this film because it didn't feel as malicious.
Yeah, I think it was more funny, like ribbing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The movie's so dumb you can get away with it.
Yeah. It's got like very strong himbo feelings to it. Like even though both of these characters are like I guess potentially good at their jobs. The movie wants us to believe that anyways. The way they go about things is just so blockheaded, and like the best parts of the movie are when they're just being an idiot and then they save each other from it.
Yes.
Right. I mean, they're good at their job in different ways, and they're obviously supposed to be polar opposites, the foils of each other. And then, they come together and work together so well and blah, blah, blah. But, they had great on-screen chemistry, and so it made that kind of more believable.
Yeah. Jesse, how about you? Positives for this film?
Like you said, it's good to see Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. They have great chemistry. There's some good action scenes. They don't work in context with the rest of the film, but in isolation, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
The whole monster truck at the very end. It's nice to see a monster truck, even though it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I like seeing Robert Zadar in movies.
True.
That chin, damn.
I was sure it was a prosthetic, and I had to look it up, and I was like, holy
chin.
shit, that's just what he looks like.
That was just what he looked like. Yeah. Rest in peace, Robert Zadar.
Yeah, wasn't his character named Face?
Yes, just face. That's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a name. Brian
Mark
James
Alimo was brilliant.
What?
Don't forget Mark Alimo. He was brilliant.
Oh, right. Gold Ducat. That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Gold Ducat.
He saved the villain contingent. All of the rest of them sucked.
Yeah.
Largely.
No. There's Brian James, who was the Aussie.
He was supposed to be British.
He's supposed to be, it's like they kind of change accents halfway through. Like,
Yeah.
we'll get to the
Yeah.
reason for that later on.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, but
I like seeing Jack Palance show up. He was really hamming it up and having a good time.
oh yeah, he knew what movie he was in. If you want like a really good bad guy in a movie, like Jack Palance was your guy.
I don't know though. He felt like he was trying too hard to be discount Martin Sheen in what is that Wall Street movie?
Well, the reason he's in this movie is because John Peters was the producer on this film, and John Peters produced the 1989 Batman film.
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
Yeah, there are some crossovers here and there.
Yeah.
Hey, I know
Yeah.
a guy. I can get him to play that.
Yeah. Did you know that John Peters actually was Barbara Streisand's hairdresser
Really?
before he became a producer?
Wow.
That's how it works in Hollywood. You fail upwards. Yeah.
Wait, so if I'm a crappy boom mic guy, I can help Seth be co-director?
Yeah, he's apparently not a great producer. He's made a lot of money, and his films have made a lot of profit, but apparently he's very manipulative and controlling. There's like books written on his manipulation behind the scenes of the Batman film.
Oh, God.
Then it sounds like he's
Yeah.
a perfect producer.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Hollywood
maybe-
material.
Yeah, he is what he is. But yeah, John Peters and Peter Guber, they were a team for a while, and positives other than that, Terry Hatcher is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
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 What a little heartthrob.
Yeah, and I love the ending credit song played by Bad English. That's nice. That got parodied so many times in so many movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean there's things to like in the movie, but the movie itself is without a doubt bad.
I think it
Yep.
starts off fine. Like if it had been able to hold the quality from the first like 30 minutes, it would probably be up there in like one of those really good B movie action movies.
Yeah.
But man, does it deteriorate fast towards the end.
We'll get into that.
Pretty much as soon as Kurt Russell is in a dress, it's fucked. It's just over.
Yeah, that's the most.
That scene was so transphobic. It was very uncomfortable.
I put into the chat, get ready for the most horrifying scene of all time. And goddamn if it's not. Like, Kurt Russell, like, look, there are people that can look really good in drag. Kurt Russell just can't because, first off, he doesn't look clean-shaven. And secondly, his chin is too wide. He does not look good in drag. Like, if you can't tell that's a dude, then seriously, what the fuck?
They really should have consulted a drag queen for that makeup job.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, wasn't John Waters directing around this time? That just ring him up real quick.
Yeah, give him a call.
Hey, who do you know that could do this? Josh, how about you? Positives on watching? Had you seen this before, or was this a new watch?
This was definitely my first time viewing this. I'm sure I heard about it. Probably not when it came out because I would have been like a toddler. But those kinds of action flicks I certainly watched much later. When I was like 12, 13, 14, that kind of thing. But this one I wouldn't have been allowed to watch at all anyway, so I easily missed it. So in terms of my positives, you're really making me reach. But one, I didn't fall asleep. So there was enough action and enough things going on that it kind of kept my interest. I did wait for it to get good. And I will say I kind of started to like Stallone's character probably after a third of the way through. Nerdy Stallone didn't really do it for me with the glasses. it didn't really make a lot of sense for his character, and he didn't play that. He didn't play what it looked like they were trying to portray, but his character got more interesting, and I think it gave me a little bit more to like. But after about a third of the way through,
He was definitely playing against type, for what you could say is against type for Stallone.
Right. Yes, exactly, and that's why it didn't work for me at first, because I'm like, nah, that ain't Stallone's type of character. That just seems it just seemed off. Like he was some tightly wound, nicely dressed, crisp winner. You know what I mean? And then it's like, nah, he's a gritty winner. And then he turned into a gritty winner, and I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. This was kind of
the beginning of the downfall for Stallone, because right after this he had Rocky V, Oscar, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, and then eventually he redeemed himself with Cliffhanger.
Right.
Goodness.
So he had a series of about 3 years after this where it was just like nothing but flops.
He's like the Vin Diesel of the 80s for me, where he, like, when he's in his stride and doing stuff without his ego being involved, it's really, really great. And then when he gets, like, really big-headed, it just turns into the most hilarious failures possible. He's got two speeds: good movies or bad movies. I've never seen a mediocre Stallone movie.
No, not really.
There's some.
I'm also not an expert on his filmography either.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right. Yeah. I can't really think of much else that was honestly good. I mean, I wanted to say I liked Terry Hatcher's character, but there wasn't really any characterization there. She was just there to be damsel
women
in
as
distress.
burdens. I love that plot line.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
The bait and switch where you think, oh, they're a couple, and then it turns out, oh no, it's his sister. But they talk like they're a couple in the opening of the movie because they apparently they were supposed to be a couple, and then the script got rewritten halfway through.
You could have told me that was his daughter in the opening scene. I would have been like, yep, okay, sure.
Well, because he didn't kiss her, and
easily.
I'm like, if they were in like a romantic relationship, they would have like kissed her or something, right?
Yeah, they would have done the making eyes cut a few times. You know what I mean? To establish that, but they didn't. So I actually kind of figured she was the sister from the offset.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. All the prison stuff, if that was the whole movie, I would have had a lot more fun. Two cops going to prison is a great premise. Once they get out of prison, it's just they're on the run, and other police officers are just giving them help for no reason.
Yeah,
because they're escaped convicts.
Well, they were supporting them in the courtroom, so you kind of expected them to still be on their side.
It's hard to say if the other cops are supporting them because they believe that they're bad cops at that point and they themselves are bad cops, or if they believe they're good cops that have been wronged. And I spent most of the movie trying to figure out whether or not the other cops in the films were supposed to be good or corrupt. Not like the people that were bribed, obviously, and like did actual bad things, but like just the random cops in the courtroom and stuff. Sorry, there's a plane going through.
I mean, if it hasn't been made clear to anybody else out there, this script is a mess.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy.
Oh, man, it is a train
And that's why I looked up the writer. I was like, what else has he done? Because I'm not going to watch it.
I think he was a friend of John Peters and just kind of got brought in because John Peters could do whatever he wanted at the time.
Not a good reason.
Yeah.
Well, John Peters got away with a ton of shit back in the 80s and 90s.
True. Oh, I do have one last positive.
What's that?
Clint Howard as Slinky, probably one of my favorite side characters.
Oh yeah,
for such a short-lived side character. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a weird character.
There's good scenes in the movie. Things are good in isolation. Like the point when they're in prison and they're having to deal with the other prisoners, great.
Sure.
The point when they're out on the run and they're trying to escape and they're ducking away from the cops, great. Now all of that doesn't work in tandem with each other as
there's no cohesion.
There's no cohesion.
Yeah, I think it's time for negatives, and there's a lot. We discussed a few already.
Yeah.
I'm only going to do one because it's a little wordy, but the basic idea for this movie is that the bad guy doesn't want to kill Tango and Cash. He wants to disgrace them and put them in prison, and then I think also kill them.
It's really
Kill
weird.
them while they're in prison? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to do that, they hatch this plan where they basically hack every step of the legal process in getting them framed to get arrested by the FBI. So I guess he has the FBI in his pocket, at least to a degree. Then they also like stack the deck against them in court, and they have this sound engineer who, by the way, is from Sesame Street. He's from Elmo's World.
Oh my God! Yeah. That's exactly
you're right.
What Mr. something? I can't remember his name.
He's the clown.
Yeah, the one in the door. Anyways, so they've stacked the deck against them. Then they get them switched from a minimum security prison to the Gulag of America. And then
wait, that gulag Perret managed to sneak into, and they managed to get out of fairly easily. So I'm like, what?
Quiet. just let it go.
They try to explain that away with like all the guards are dirty, but they release like 50 prisoners to beat up Tango and Cash, and that doesn't cause an issue. And my entire thing is, if they're powerful enough to concoct this cockamamie scheme to derail Tango and Cash like that, they're obviously way more powerful and already own the cops.
Yeah. If it seems very convoluted, it's because it is.
Yeah. It's not revenge. I mean, it is revenge in that, like, he's mad that Tango and Cash have been messing up his drug supply business, but, like, he's not... They don't even know who he is. Like, he's a new character to them in the movie when they meet him.
They don't even know who it is that's actually running everything. We know, but they don't, which kind of makes them into dunces.
Right.
Like, it's never a good place to have your audience ahead of your main characters because it makes your main characters look like idiots.
Yeah, and for the plot to be that convoluted to the point that it makes the movie not make any sense, because the easy thing to do would be, well, if you're already on the cops, just get them fired.
Yeah.
Or hell, how about this? You know what actually really works really well? An assassin.
Right.
Like, how about you actually
they did
just...
that.
Yeah, but it's like, oh no, they pretended to assassinate me so they could frame me. Well, why don't they just kill you?
Right.
Your problem is solved.
They shot him twice in the chest, knowing that he was going to have body armor on there.
It's just, it's just circles of logic.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mr. Noodle, by the way.
Mr. Noodle, thank you.
Mr. Noodle. He looks like a noodle.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's my only negative. How about you guys? What are some things you did not enjoy?
Ooh, I have a big one.
Go ahead.
Look, I'm not sure if, like, it was the intent, but I can't help but thinking with all of these old school cop films where cops are above the law and out of their jurisdiction and they need to break their guidelines to succeed. Like,
I know exactly what you're going to say. We covered this with RoboCop 2.
And equipment to best the bad guys. It's like, it's just such a prominent reason, like, why mentalities concerning cops today are so flawed and, like, vigilante justice is so flawed. Like, this film is uncomfortably justifying these men's actions and infers that the so-called good cops that get caught up in bad schemes are not actually guilty. And oh yeah, by the way, we totally need whatever the fuck that monster truck with, like, rocket launchers they were driving in the end was. That's something cops definitely need.
Aaron, look, you can make this argument about literally every single cop movie from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. You can't use that as a negative because it's literally every fucking movie.
It's so bad in this one, though.
I know it's bad, but that's part of it. It's meant to be just vicarious entertainment. The problem is that people in the real world took it seriously.
Right.
It's not a flaw necessarily of the film. It's a flaw of the audience interpreting the film.
But to Aaron's point, were they trying to be a Bond film with all these Bond gadgets?
It starts out like a cop movie and it becomes a Bond film by the very end. And that's because, we should get into this, Andrei Konchalovsky was fired 2 weeks before the production was supposed to end, and they brought in another director to finish up and do all the action scenes again.
Damn.
Yeah, he's credited as the director, but he didn't actually do the final 2 weeks of filming because he and John Peters were having enormous fights.
And
eventually
they
just
I did read too that the some of the explosion scenes at the end, especially at the final compound, were only filmed one time because the stunts were so dangerous that only the stunt people could only do it one time, and that's the only chance they got.
Wow.
Yep.
So that's obviously going to make your production value tank because you get one chance.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, well,
the whole monster truck sequence, the giant, the Jeep with the Gatling guns on it, all the trucks with the rifles, like
they
all
didn't
the
even
fighting.
use the Gatling gun.
Yeah, what was the purpose of that?
They did.
Did they?
I thought they did.
I didn't see it fire a single time. Now they had something on the front of the vehicle that fired something,
like a rockety type thing I saw once.
The minigun was firing. I saw it. They weren't cutting away to show it hitting anything. That's why the scene feels so like erratic because there's no flow of action. You know, you don't see a gun start to fire and then cut to the thing being shot. It is just guns firing.
Yeah, clearly they hadn't watched The Road Warrior before seeing this.
Right. It was forward mounted, right? And so it didn't look like it had any kind of swivel to it. And I swear to God, at one point I saw it point backwards, which that's what they needed. They needed a rear facing gun, and everything they had was on the front, and they were running away from everything the entire time. Mm-hmm. So it felt like everything was completely hackneyed, and it was like, oh, this is a terrible plan. And obviously part of it was that they don't have any really good plans. They They wouldn't even execute a plan if they had one, because these guys are supposed to be kind of idiots and at constant odds with each other. But like everything that they tried to do made absolutely no goddamn sense.
The entire back half of the movie, they just kind of made it up as they went along.
Again, the characterization was cool, like their interactions with each other and the way that they were changing and kind of starting to become friends. That was all great. But it was on this backdrop of like, hey, let's just run at all these guns and see if we can jump through fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it looked like the movie literally ends up as like one of those XXX movies with
where like things only work in a linear fashion, but if you go back and think about it again, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is a ultimate turn your brain off movie.
Oh my God. Well, it got to the point where I was just so disinterested. Zip lining on a power cable, sure, I can turn my brain off enough for that to work for me. Just a monster truck rally is where your final villain lives. What?
Yeah. Well, I will say I was kind of pissed off about the jumping at the cables, because not only was it an absolutely torrential downpour, but these dudes had to leap really far and grab onto it with their gigantic muscular arms and hands. You're not going to catch that. I'm sorry. That is slippery as hell. You're going down, bud.
Also, just the logic of the fact that the Robert Sadar gets killed by grabbing onto those cables on the rooftop, but I'm like, wait a minute, isn't the ground wet? Isn't he grounded? So doesn't it mean the entire rooftop's going to become electrified?
You would think.
You would think.
It's funny how often they use water and electricity as a gimmick to kill or torture somebody, but then turn around 2 scenes later and have water and electricity just harmlessly interacting.
Yeah.
Right. And then once he's finished being electrocuted, he just kind of hangs on to it afterwards. I'm like, he's not done.
like the scene when Kurt Russell's being dipped into the electrified water, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, that would kill him instantly.
Oh, the size of that cable. Absolutely. That is thousands.
The gauge
thousands
on that cable
of watts.
is absurd.
Why is there a meat hook and all of this shit in the prison in the first place? Like, what practical purpose does this room have for existing?
I will say that they had a farm, so they could have had livestock. And they announced it several times. They're at the farm. They're at the farm. They're at the farm. Because they climbed up a silo, right? And so they were technically at a farm, so they could have had some livestock there. And, maybe.
I feel like the prison setting could have been way more interesting than it was. Like especially if they were talking about it earlier, like whenever they're arresting their people, talking about like, oh, I'm going to send you to this like supermax prison and it's giant and evil and it's the worst thing. So then the rug pull when they show up there later is like, oh, we've been talking up this terrible prison and now you're there.
Yeah, they should have foreshadowed that at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
here's going to minimum security, right? Minimum security, right? Riv, and then they go to maximum security or no security. Like I don't know what this kind of prison was. There was like no security other than the fence.
I used to watch the show Lockdown or Locked Up or whatever the hell it was called, about like prisons, and it was really interesting seeing all of the different ways like the inmates would try to hurt each other, making shivs out of all of these. Like they would improvise paper mache and soap weapons. So there's so many cool ways they could have taken this plot. And they went with something just completely outlandish instead. Like, put them in the hole for a little bit. Have them crack. Have them making shivs. That'd be cool as hell.
No,
Yeah.
we need the steam machines in the basement with meat hooks and dirty buckets of water.
That prisoners can just walk around in at night, I guess.
Right, and that dude just grabs that big old fat gauge of cable that's not arcing and not killing him as he's... Okay, yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. Why not?
Works fine.
I think the introduction to Cash was my least favorite part for Kurt Russell because it just starts. I mean, really, he rolls up and I guess he's friends with the kids in his neighborhood, and then he almost gets assassinated. And then he chases the assassin down and steals a guy's car to stop the assassin. And I'm like...
wasn't that the guy from Avatar The Last Airbender that gets his cabbages knocked over all the time?
Right.
My cabbages on my car!
Yeah, and then his final line is in that scene is "Welcome to America, pal," and it's like you're a raging asshole. I don't like you at all. Thankfully, he grew on me across the movie, but if that was what his original character intention was, I was like, from everything I've seen so far, this is a bad guy. This is not a hero.
He did make another comment later on when they're in the prison, and he said, "I don't want to be killed by one of these immigrant assholes. I want to be killed by a real American." And I was like, dude.
Yeah, they pretty much offended everyone you can offend in this. Racist, homophobic, transphobic, all the phobias.
It was the 80s. I'm letting it slide.
Tons of bigotry.
It's just even with it being the 80s, like I understand, and I can watch things with a grain of salt, but just in the context of his actions, I'm like, you're just an asshole, dude. Like,
right. It's like, I'm sure you'll be a likable character at some point, but I also don't like you now, and I'm probably not going to like you later.
Right. Like, because at least Stallone gets his scene setting up that, like, he's smarter than everyone around him, and they're making fun of him, and he feels like an underdog. So then when he's right, it's this great big, like, oh, yeah, okay, so he's like, really cool. He's really smart. Okay, I get it. And then juxtapose that to Kurt Russell. And maybe that was the intention. Maybe we were supposed to like Stallone more, but then anytime he interacts with Cash, it's just like, you hate his guts, and the movie told me to hate his guts too, so I kind of don't like him yet.
Yeah, remember how we were talking about Hobbs and Shaw back in February, and we said that one should be a sledgehammer, the other should be a scalpel?
Yeah.
This movie is literally two sledgehammers.
Right, and that's why they set him up as a kind of scalpel, you know what I mean, at the beginning, and then he was...
But they never follow through with it.
Right, and so that's why I liked it. I was like, okay, they're setting him up as a scalpel, but that's not really his character type. That's not his archetype. That's not his type casting, you know what I mean? And then they're like, okay, two sledgehammers, go.
I can tell you the reason this movie actually exists.
Okay.
The title.
The
title. That's it. Just Tango and Cash. It's a good title.
It is. I mean,
it is pretty cool.
It is infamous enough that it's one that I've always known was going to end up on my radar for my love of 80s and 90s action movies. So maybe it has that staying power. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, having never seen it, but having watched it, I'm definitely disappointed.
Is that what they started with? They said, hey guys, Tango and Cash. All right, write me something. Go. You have 3.5 minutes.
I don't doubt it. That was how John Peters used to do all of his things. Like, John Peters was adamant that in the Superman Lives script, he was supposed to produce Superman Lives. Kevin Smith write in a giant spider. and when that film fell apart, when he then produced the film called The Wild Wild West, he got his fucking spider.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. He sure did.
Yes, he did.
You know what? That's making things make more sense, because Tango and Cash almost works better as a Batman and Robin movie.
It really feels like a Batman and Robin movie.
I honestly believe this is like a script for something else that got retrofitted to become this.
Because, like, think about it. Like, if you put Batman and Robin in here, the idea of, I don't want to kill them, I want to disgrace them, works way better for a vigilante.
Yes, it does.
and then putting them in prison. The idea of these superheroes in prison and everyone there hates them makes a ton of sense for Batman and Robin, because they'd be in Arkham Asylum then, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool as shit.
That'd be the flipperoo.
God,
Yeah. Apparently, the script was written by Randy Feldman and was based on an idea by John Peters and Peter Guber. So it's literally their idea.
Maybe that's how we fix it then.
Make it a Batman
We make
and
them
Robin
go
movie.
to this crazy prison. It turns out it's called Arkham, and then they come out as Batman and Robin.
There you go.
Wasn't that a story in the comics at one point that Batman was or Bruce Wayne was a patient there, and the whole Batman ethos was just in his head?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the alternate stories or whatever, where like
it's
Joker
not a
was his
canonical
other
story.
Oh yeah,
right. Joker was his other half.
right. Yeah, I think that just it makes more sense if they would have left Batman and gone into this and went, well, we can't play with Batman anymore, but Tango and Cash.
I believe it.
Although they're both kind of Batman.
Like I said, they're two sledgehammers.
Yeah.
There's no difference between either one of these besides, their names.
Yeah, I even like identifying personality traits beyond like I'm very quippy and I like being a cop. Not much. Like it's not like Kurt Russell was always hungry or wanted a sandwich or something like that. Because that would have at least differentiated them a little bit. Just one's a slob and the other one is not. Like it's the odd couple, but not actually different characters.
Yeah. Can I say my negatives now?
Absolutely. Go for it.
So there is a mountain of cameos in this movie, and none of them seem like they're earned.
Okay.
So you have Glenn Morshower in this film. You know who this is. You've seen you know the face, but you don't know the name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He protected the president on 24.
Exactly. Billy Blanks is in this movie.
I recognize his face, but the typo guy.
Yeah, he's in this movie. For what reason, I don't know. Louis Arquette is in this movie. Roy Brocksmith from Total Recall is in this movie.
Oh, didn't I see in the prison? It looked like Apollo Creed was there.
No, it's not. That's not Carl Weathers.
No, I know.
Oh,
but
James
had him-
Hong, one of
James
the
Hong is in here.
yeah.
Yeah, and Mark Alimo, like for Gul Dukat, he's barely used in the movie. Richard Fancy, Shabadoo from the Break-In movies. he has a walk-on cameo when Kurt Russell, does the most horrifying scene in all of film history. He walks into frame. Like Shabadoo is an amazing breakdancer, and he doesn't dance at all in this whole movie. He doesn't dance at all in this. Like he literally just walks in, and Kurt Russell goes, "Hey, what size are you?" And it cuts away, and that's it. Like you put him in your movie because you want him to dance. Just oh man, yeah. Like there's all these cameos. Clint Howard's in there, and none of them do anything.
Oh my God. Sylvester Stallone had Barry Sonnenfeld fired from the movie.
Why? What's the story behind that?
I just didn't get along.
This is the man that directed the Men in Black movies, Wild Wild West.
Adam's
with
Family,
Adam's Family.
Values.
Get
Oh my
Shorty.
God.
Yeah, he fired like one of the biggest. Like this man was right under Spielberg. I mean, he was like he learned in the school of Spielberg. That's amazing. Also, apparently Patrick Swayze was supposed to play Kurt Russell's role.
I can totally see that.
Me too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still two sledgehammers.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Because I think it was like Roadhouse was not too long before this.
At the same time, actually, he left this to go make Roadhouse.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I would gladly watch Roadhouse before I watch Tango and Cash again, though.
I've never seen Roadhouse.
It is a hilariously bad film, but it's great.
Okay.
Just there's a great cameo. Not cameo. There's a great montage of people getting repeatedly punched over and over and over again on YouTube, and it ends with a guy getting his throat ripped out.
Oh, perfect. I do know. I am familiar with that.
Patrick Swayze literally grabs the guy by the throat and rips out his larynx.
Oh God.
I'm gonna
I can
find
see
it, and I'll
Swayze
post it
wasn't
in the chat.
available.
It's great.
Swayze
This
was
film
doing
would work
Ghost
as a
at the
good-
same time.
This film would work as a good parody of Lethal Weapon, I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you deliberately make it into a Lethal Weapon parody, I think it could be really interesting.
There is one. It's called Loaded Weapon.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't very good either.
Yeah, I think The Other Guys is almost a better Lethal Weapon movie than Loaded Weapon. Other issues besides unused cameos?
Oh my god, the freaking women in this that for like all of 5 minutes
Wasted.
just to get in trouble basically, and
Well, the first one was
Be
there to
tit-
get
be
caught with her
titties.
boobs out. That was it.
yeah, you were either titties or you were a burden or a distraction, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
It was the 80s. It was the 80s.
They,
There's
they
a
had
room full of
Yeah,
them.
but
about
still,
midway.
okay, Top Gun happened in the 80s. They at least had the female character do something.
True.
Yeah, it's that and I almost wish this movie were more comedy than it was. Like there's definitely funny bits in it, but I feel like they were meant more to be like charming or get like a chuckle. I feel like big laughs anytime they went for those were like horribly aged jokes. You know, we've covered them already.
Yeah.
Oh god, you know what also aged horribly?
Fairly
The
confident I
music.
didn't laugh much during this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Aaron, you're so right.
The music aged so bad.
the synth score. Ugh.
Oh god.
There is such thing as a good synth score. I promise. This was not it.
Well, I mean, Blade Runner has a good synth score.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like you
or
can
hell, like,
definitely
modern
make
movies.
it iconic. Yeah.
Modern movies like The Guest, that is a great synth score.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I love synth scores, and that's kind of why it pissed me off. I'm like, you could have done something so good, and you did this?
What it comes down to is Blade Runner and John Carpenter movies, where the synthesizer that they used was like a one of a kind of like not popular in the field of synths at the time, and it was overly capable, and so you could make these like multi-layered things without a computer. You didn't need any kind of like computer hookups, and synths work better now because you have computers and you can layer everything out. They had that capability built into them. So then movies like Tango and Cash would say, well, we need a synth score, and the synths at the time were single note like piano layout, so you couldn't layer different kinds of sounds. You just had to set it to, you know, this specific phaser sound and then play around with that. That's why Beverly Hills Cop sounds the way it does. It is one synth sound because it was done on a...
Dun, 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 dun.
And that's the same composer.
Yeah. Yep.
It's literally the same composer as Beverly Hills Cop, and that sounds really good.
It
but
sounds
it's,
way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also a matter of time. Like, the
Yeah.
film was on, like, a breakneck pace to try to get out on a release date, and it just... Music was the thing that got shafted the most. They just get it done. It wasn't a matter of get it done right. It was just get it done. So, you know, this is what happens when you put a release date before the film's finished.
Wow. This was shot in 2 months.
Yeah.
That's-
This should have been like a 3-month shoot.
Oh,
I was going to
easily.
say it was a 72-hour film fest.
You
because I
you
do
have-
want to...
Oh, go ahead.
I do want to point out in the movie, and I'm not sure if maybe is the Amazon Prime version of it, but there's a bad cut at like
Yes.
28 minutes.
Oh,
where,
yeah.
Kurt Russell is putting his feet up on the desk when he's talking to Stallone's character, Tango. And he all of a sudden, like, he's starting to put his feet up, and then boom, it jumps to his feet are up,
Yeah.
like in the cut. And I was like, oh god, that's bad.
I think they had to use...
Maybe he fell back in the chair and they didn't have another take.
Yeah, well, it feels like they had 2 different takes and no way to like splice them because they wanted it to all be one shot. So they were like, "Oh well, we'll just do this real quick."
Right.
Nobody'll notice.
Well, I did.
Oh yeah, it was like out of the corner of my eye too because I was looking away and
Oh,
then I
yeah,
saw the
I had to go
screens. I was like, did the buffer not work? Like I assumed it was the internet or
Yeah.
something, and then watched it
Yeah.
again. I was like, oh no, there's just like 20 dropped frames here. Damn.
Right. Yeah, it was just all of a sudden I was like, oh okay. I went back and watched it 3 times to make sure I wasn't seeing things.
Nope. You.
So apparently on the behind the scenes, crew members said in an interview, this was the worst organized, most poorly prepared film I've ever been on in my life. From the first day we started, no one knew what the hell anyone was doing.
Wow.
Not a good start.
That's
Oh, man.
wild.
Yikes. Well, at least they only spent 2 months in that hell.
Yeah.
So there's a very obvious tone shift in the movie.
Oh God, yeah.
Specifically, after they get the countdown, they have 24 hours to get the evidence they need. And then I guess the cops are going to arrest them and put them in jail again. That was kind of
clear, I don't think.
That was a bit unclear.
I don't think that's how the police system works.
Yeah.
They don't give you a countdown. They usually just arrest you right away, whether you've got evidence or not.
I mean, so was the captain's plan to just go back to the precinct and say, all right, let's put this case on pause for 24 hours, guys? Like,
Yeah, and not seem suspicious.
How the hell did he know that they were actually at Terry Hatcher's house, and why is he going in the back door?
also great questions.
Yes, but never explained.
And then what happened to him after that?
No idea.
The movie cannot wait to end.
Right.
They fucking race to the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Like
I've never had a movie get to the end before I wanted it to get to the end. While I hated it, I'm like, I mean, I wanted you to end fast, but I mean, not that fast.
The movie climaxed a little bit early and then climaxed again a little bit late.
I was left a little disappointed afterwards, not gonna lie.
Yeah, literally, like, they beat the bad guy, they have their final quips, and then it's cut to newspaper. We're fucking done.
Yeah,
It was done. It was over.
The tone shift though feels like I've never seen a movie with a change in direction happen like before my eyes, because it goes from these two guys who are just ribbing each other the whole time. They get their 24 hours notice, then they go off to get their weapons and do the final battle. And they're literally their names are technically cleared because Kurt Russell had the tape that cleared their name. So they're literally just going to kill the guy.
Why not arrest him like cops?
Yeah. They could have.
What am I talking about? This is an 80s movie. What the hell am I talking about?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so they're going to clear their name by committing murder, and not only murder, but mass murder. Because would they kill like 100 people in that final
easily
final fight?
Something like that, yeah.
Like,
So
God.
But then the tone shift happens between the characters because they go from they've hated each other for the whole movie to extremely fucking sappy. Like, no breaks. Just immediately, Stallone's like, I just want you to know you're one of the best cops I've ever worked with. And I was like, what?
What? Just out of nowhere? You just yelled at him for looking at your sister.
Literally, like 2 scenes prior, he's like, did you fuck my sister? And now
He's just jealous because he wants him to fuck him. Like, come on now. It's not about his sister at all. That's why she's not in the movie much.
What even was that scene where she's like, okay, let's ride away on this motorcycle. We'll go to my house, and then I'll just sit on you and give you a massage.
Okay, it was an excuse to set up the Dykes on Bikes line, which was awful. Sucked.
And then
didn't like it.
To have
And to
Tango
set up
walk
the
in and think that they were banging.
The worst looking back massage ever. She was just like kind of like at his back.
I think he's supposed to have like a dislocated disc in his back or something like that, but that's not how you fix it.
Yeah, no, you don't massage those
not
back
remotely.
ends.
You need surgery to fix that.
It's still better than that one Batman movie when he like fixed it by getting the shit beat out of him in a hole or something? Question mark? So I gotta give it credit for better than It's still a better Batman movie than Batman.
So what you need to do is you need to hang here by this rope for another day.
So
that's not how that works.
Do you fix it by bouncing on top of somebody and making sex noises?
Yes, that's how you fix everything. I am a doctor.
That scene does not work unless Tango walks into the room.
It's true.
Correct. It's pointless otherwise.
Wait, which one is Tango and which one's Cash?
Stallone is
Cash
Tango.
is the rogue.
Okay, I'm correct. Yeah,
Yes.
It doesn't work. Like, it's only there because to set up that joke, but the joke doesn't work unless Tango walks in. There's no reason Tango would go there.
Well, and then they felt the
And sit and watch. That's creepy.
They felt the absolute need to have a quick stunt in the middle of it when he dives through a closed door to tackle the police chief. And it's like...
To make the screen pun. Is this how you screen all your visitors or something like that?
Yeah.
It was wholly 99% of this film is to set up the puns. Literally, someone had a bunch of puns and bad jokes that they wanted to put in a script, and then they just assembled them into a movie. That's why this is the way it is.
Oh God, please don't have me write a movie ever.
One-liner, the movie.
There was a podcast called the Flophouse Podcast, and their 100th episode was about Tango and Cash. They praised it as enjoyably bad, and also quote unquote the last film ever made before irony was created. It's absolutely true. Like if you look at this film from an ironic perspective, like oh yeah, that was the 80s, then it kind of is enjoyable. But if you're looking at it as like a well-made, put-together film, it's dog shit.
Yeah, I would like a functional plot really more than anything. The casting can stay. It's not even an ugly looking movie. Like it's not poorly shot.
No, it's fine.
Oh, they didn't use the PP filter on everything, so that was fantastic.
Yeah, how were we supposed to know it was L.A.?
Right.
Andrei Konchalovsky was a fantastic director. He's still alive, and if the film he did 4 years before this is called Runaway Train. If you want to talk about like that's a palate cleanser episode right there.
Oh hell yeah!
That movie is fucking fantastic. It is amazing. I mean, yes, it is a canon film, but it was one of the good ones. Canon every now and again would put out a really, really, really good movie, and that was one of them. And it's about two convicts that escape from a gulag in Siberia, and they're stuck on a train where they can't reach the brakes, so the train is hurtling out of control into the Siberian wasteland. It's a phenomenal movie. It's fantastic. It's got Jon Voight, Eric Roberts. It got nominated for Best Actor for both of them, and also I think that Konchalovsky got nominated for Best Director, I think. So that's a phenomenal film. It's really, really well made. It looks great. It's
also kind of telling that he left Tango and Cash to do a movie called Homer and Eddie, excuse me. And it's just a comedy. Like he just needed a break.
Yeah, I'm done with action. I need to just do something that's simple.
And I think that was his last or second to last movie in the U.S. He's done everything in Europe from then on.
Yeah, he got tired of the studio system and he's jumped ship.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. He's still around. He still makes movies. They're pretty good. I wouldn't say any of them are like masterpieces, but he's always been a director that's always, if you want like a good, solid movie, yeah, he's the good go-to guy. He's a workman-like director.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's a good craftsman.
Any final thoughts on Tango and Cash before we go to a break?
I mean, is it worth watching?
Not really.
Nah.
I say it's an easy pass.
That do the
It's
same
an easy
thing.
pass. Yeah, you can spend your time better.
Have you seen Lethal Weapon and 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop? Then you've seen the better version of this movie.
Yeah,
This
pretty much.
offers nothing
there
new,
are
nothing
so many
different.
films that do everything that this film does, but better than this film.
Except for pairing Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone.
Stallone, right, yes.
Yeah.
If you need to see that, go for it. They do take a
Just
shower
maybe,
together.
yeah. The one thing
Yeah.
is his hair, Kurt Russell's hair, when it's not wet and gross looking, is fucking phenomenal. I just have to give him credit. It's very floofy. 10 out of 10. Would run
It
my
was
fingers
definitely
through.
on point.
He's one of the few guys that can make a mullet look good. Yeah. I mean, look at him in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Like, he still has that mullet, and it still looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be... If you absolutely love 80s action, even if it's mindless...
And you have to see everything.
Yeah, maybe then I would recommend, but like to the average person, if Tango and Cash has been on your list because you want good action movie, probably
There are better places to go.
definitely
Yeah,
not
let's
the
go
one.
ahead and move it off that
No.
list.
Yeah.
I think also the reason why this movie is the way it is because everybody involved in this production is a very right-wing individual, and so they just didn't give a shit about good taste.
Yeah.
Those that don't realize, Stallone and Kurt Russell are both very right-wing. So, yeah, I mean, if you go listen to our Last Blood episode, you'll understand how right-wing Stallone is.
Oh, man.
And Kurt Russell, he is Republican. He's a gun rights guy,
So who knows if the immigrant lines were even in the script, Kurt Russell may have just added those ad-lib.
Yeah,
True.
This is one of those times where it's like you could be very, very right wing and you could not be criticized for it in film because hey, that was the big thing. It's Reagan was in office. It was a good time.
Well, I think it's time to jump to a break, and then when we come back, the team is going to figure out how to make this a better movie. I think we've already figured it out in our conversation, but maybe I have some fun ideas that we could play around with here.
Hey.
So we're gonna go to a break real quick. We will be right back.
Now, I would like to preface that I do like Tango and Cash, despite the fact that I know that it's a bad movie. I remember seeing it back, I think, when I was like 12 years old, and I didn't really know what was going on, but I thought, hey, there's a monster truck in there. That looks really cool. Yes, it's me, Jesse. I'm here with your film recommendation for the week. I figured since this is a buddy cop movie, I may as well recommend another buddy cop film that didn't get as much success, but definitely deserved it. We've mentioned this several times on our show. I'm going to talk about the film The Nice Guys, directed by Shane Black, starring Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. It's basically a 1970s crime noir, but it's more of an action comedy, set at Christmas time, because Shane Black loves to do that. It's an overly complicated plot, but the plot isn't really the purpose. The purpose is more about the characters. Ryan Gosling plays a private investigator, and Russell Crowe is kind of a muscle for hire kind of guy, kind of a fixer that lives in LA. It involves things like shady business deals, espionage, the mafia moving into Los Angeles, corruption within the Justice Department, etc., etc. You've heard this plot before, but never through the eyes of Shane Black. It's a lot of fun. It's not like the most brilliant movie ever made, but it will definitely make you laugh. We did at one point do a commentary track for the film, but unfortunately, due to some technical errors, we lost the audio for it. So if you hear it mentioned on previous episodes, we apologize. There is no commentary track. It was an accident. We had a mistake. But I definitely recommend The Nice Guys. It's a lot of fun. You'll definitely enjoy it. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. We're discussing Tango and Cash, not Turner and Hooch.
Damn it!
Also, is Hooch a good name for a dog? Because isn't that what they
No!
called alcohol back in the
Isn't that
day?
alcohol? Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
homebrew alcohol, though.
The kind of dog that he is in the movie, it's like, oh yeah, that dog's name is Hooch.
Okay. I think they just didn't want to say pooch. I think that's what they were avoiding.
Oh, I get it. It rhymes with pooch, so it's a pun.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, Tango and Cash, I'm going to make an executive decision. The last 30 minutes of this movie no longer exists.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep,
Yep.
we're cutting it out completely.
Whatever we do from here on, that doesn't exist. We have an unfinished movie, so we have to come up with an ending. I was saying in the group...
The entire ending of the movie, like I said, was totally reshot after Konchalovsky was fired.
Does anyone know what the original ending was?
I think they just went to the warehouse and they just tracked him down and just shot him.
Oh.
I think they actually get married at the end, don't they? They just get married, right?
I'm down with that.
To each other, of course.
Yes. Yes.
I genuinely wouldn't mind the mediocre, just regular cop movie ending to this. I actually would have made me like the movie a little bit more. It wouldn't have felt like such a whiplash of action scenes.
Well, I think the problem is that it would have been more like Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, it's true.
Because Lethal Weapon already did that. Beverly Hills Cop already did that. By this point, didn't Beverly Hills Cop 2 also come out at this point?
I don't know. I don't recall. I'm not a super fan of Axel and the Boys.
Really? I like the first one. The other ones are bad, but I like the first one.
Yeah,
Beverly Hills Cop 2 is 87.
yeah, so that had already come out.
Yeah.
I like Eddie Murphy, and again, it kind of suffers from that, like, they're not really cops, they're vigilantes, so it doesn't make sense, and some of their actions feel a little asshole-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. Apparently, they're making a fourth Beverly Hills Cop movie, though, so...
Yeah, I
Cool?
Yay.
Yeah, so I said in the group chat that I think there's two good movies in here. There is cops on the run for having their names disgraced and not wanting to go to prison. And then there's cops getting arrested and put in prison and escaping. Either a prison escape movie or a road movie. Either one of those are great vehicles for this buddy pairing.
So can I take that real quick and run with it?
Sure.
I view that as Cops on the Run would be the first movie, and the second movie is really at the end of the first. They do get put in jail, but they accomplish whatever they're trying to accomplish. And the second movie is them in jail.
So
become a sequel of each other.
You're saying the first movie would have a cliffhanger?
See what you did there.
Remind me to slap you next time I see you, Seth.
I mean, the idea of doing 2 movies could be exciting. I could see a Tango and Cash TV show work out. Probably better than the Lethal Weapon one did. You guys ever watch that show?
Short-lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was...
Didn't it last 3 seasons and like Reyes got killed at the end of season 2?
Yeah, because they were bringing in Sean William Scott.
Oh, that'll rescue it.
It did not.
Eh.
Yeah, I could be into 2 movies. A prison escape sequel is a cool idea. I would want to run that down. Aaron, what do you think? What is usable here beyond the casting? Obviously, the title and the casting are staying.
I think we need to lean heavier into the friendship between them since it is the best part of it, and actually make it feel like it has more of a progression instead of it just suddenly changes at some point. I think we need to like really heavily leverage the friendship, and I think honestly if you focus on that and you write that interaction well, the rest of the plot is less important. Like I think one of the reasons this film went wrong is because so much of the end of the movie is just shit blowing up in action scenes.
Right.
It's not them. And there's ways you can do action scenes where like maybe the action scenes are more like tactical with guns and them trying to break into a house or something like that, and they need to work together and plan and strategize together. I do like the idea of having it look like they've achieved their goal and then at the very end they go to jail and then the next movie is the prison break. I like that setup.
Yeah, Tango and Cash will return in Tango and Cash 2. To Tango, to
There's
Cash.
talk of doing a sequel.
Oh.
There's talk of a sequel that they keep trying to convince Kurt Russell to do it.
Dear
But
God,
I think
why?
Russell's kind of retired from film at this point.
Yeah.
He doesn't do much these days.
I
I
mean-
mean, he did that awful Santa Claus movie from like 2 years ago.
True.
Oh, that thing was bad.
Yeah, I think he kind of just gets picky and choosy, and maybe he just takes a role whenever he feels like he needs a little extra money. You know what I mean?
He's got enough money. He just kind of relaxes on his ranch.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm just kind of done. I mean, not that I don't hate the industry. I'm just kind of tired of it. You know?
See, the Tango and Cash sequel, like proper to the movie that we got, I am very disinterested.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
No, not at
yeah.
all.
I mean, you could make them confrontational. Have it be like the opening starts with Cash trying to be assassinated, but then you have Tango brought in as like an FBI investigator that's like has to follow him around and hound him, and using Cash as bait to draw the assassin out again.
Yeah.
So that way you have like, you know, the two of them they have their back and forth. It makes sense.
If he's being used as bait, they like talk over the radio a lot. So it's like the Die Hard relationship between the good guy and the bad guy, except for now we've kind of put them on the same team.
Yeah, but they still hate each other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, they need to bicker like a married couple. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
An old married couple, anyway.
I like that. So let's see if we can combine that with what Aaron was saying. How would you want to see? I like the power dynamic shift there, with Stallone being obviously like outranking Kurt Russell. How would you want to see that friendship progress? Like if they're starting at hating each other, and I guess they need to end it begrudgingly respecting each other. Or would you want them to like outright like each other by the end, which is more interesting?
I think it's more interesting if they like each other by the end. And I think you could leverage the sister in some interesting ways. Like, actually have her have some sort of a role. Like, maybe she's another cop. Like, maybe she's a rookie cop or something like that, and...
She should be their boss.
That would be funny.
If you want to Me Too the movie, go ahead.
No, I don't necessarily want to Me Too the movie. I'm just saying that she should have some more interesting role, because I think her as the sister, she's in a unique position to bring the two of them together, and making her a cop puts a lot of interesting dynamics where Kurt Russell's character could save her life, or maybe she could save his life, or, you know, they could have interactions together as cops that would be intriguing, and that could be the vessel through which Tango comes to respect him, because the sister's like, dude, he's actually a good cop. Like, you just don't see any cop who's different than you as good, but he's actually decent at his job.
Well, I do like that idea, and I want to expand on it a little bit more. If anybody's watched The Boys.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Butcher and Huey's relationship.
Mm.
So Huey,
perfect.
Huey being the canary, keeping Butcher from going too far. The sister could be used in a similar fashion to keep these two sledgehammers from going too far. She could be the one that is more logical, more level-headed, more able to kind of hold back when they're about to go and do some really crazy vigilante justice stuff and just, hey, let's just kill 150 people. Why not?
I like that.
Why don't we
considering
be
the
a little
first thing-
stealthier? Why don't we be a little sneaky?
The first thing they say about Catherine is, "Oh, you're so illogical." Like that's the first thing that's established about her character. So turning her into the logical, tactical one, I love it.
I also, if we want to punch up the comedy, I love the idea of the gearing up montage just getting totally kneecapped. Like she walks in and she's like, "No, obviously no." Like guys, very obviously no.
Put the grenades away, and no, we're not getting an armored car. Get out of here.
You can have one dud grenade, okay? That's it.
Right.
Maybe she deliberately gives him a dud grenade.
Wouldn't it be funnier if that actually wasn't a dud and they thought it was, and they're just like, "That was real." Oh shit!
It's like, I thought you grabbed the dud. You didn't grab the dud. I grabbed the other one. You said you wanted a grenade. He just
also
blows
think-
off his feet and he comes back angry and he's just like
I also think with
Running on
her as a
nubs.
cop, they could have some really good banter because they have, like, we have those great scenes where they're kind of like bromancing at each other, and there's like back in the 80s, like all the anti-gay jokes, but she could be like, I think that there's a way that she could add to that dynamic in a way that feels very natural.
I would almost love to see her like, her take it. Like she understands that they're doing it ironically, but then she spins it like very serious and like starts talking about, their future life on a little
Plan your
farm
wedding.
somewhere. And, oh, you guys would
Yes,
look so
and
cute in flannel and, just
giving
like,
them therapy sessions to like get them in touch with their feelings and stuff.
Oh my gosh, her mediating therapy between the two of them with
Yes.
the current casting could be bomb as hell. Terry Hatcher could totally pull that off. Because that's the other thing. Terry Hatcher's a great actress. She did really good things in other movies, and I think that's why it pisses me off so much. Because a lot of times the generic chick character in these films is just some blowaway
A throwaway,
bimbo.
right?
No, it's either some bimbo without a name or it's some actress who's popular for being hot. It's not somebody who really has acting chops. We know she's got chops. Give her some some nuanced role that gives some depth and dimension to they have such a good relationship. Adding in like a straight man for the comedic term to their relationship would be fantastic.
yeah.
Because they're both kind of comedic.
She should be internal affairs.
She's the normal.
She's been assigned to the
There you
case, and
Love it.
so she is literally like the person to mediate what is happening here. She's like actual job. And then I would go an extra step. Let's make Cash a PI instead of a cop. We can actually avoid the entire
Ooh.
being too involved with the police thing if he's just a private investigator.
Yeah. Can we also avoid the idea of them going to prison, because quite frankly that doesn't work at all?
Yeah, I
Like 90% of this movie can just get thrown out. Like there's really very little that we could actually keep besides the characters and the title.
what if they had to break into prison?
What if they have to pose as criminals to
Yeah, they
get
had to
some
pose as
intel?
criminals to get in
There's
there
some dirty
to see
cops,
something.
and she wants intel on them because she's IA, and they're like, "Oh, we can do this," and she's like, "Guys, this is a bad decision," and then they go to prison as like people who are trying to work there and find out stuff.
I got it. So Cash, they were trying to assassinate him. They failed. Tango gets brought in to be the investigator that's the FBI guy that's trying to figure out who assassinated him. So Tango goes undercover to work with the bad guys to figure out why they want to kill Cash.
Interesting.
And so then you have the scene where the two of them meet. They know what the plan is, and eventually one of them slips up and they start bickering and bitching at each other, and then the real bad guys are like, "I'm sorry, do you guys have something you want to tell the class?"
Yeah. They give themselves away. Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like they're I think playing up the fact that you have two sledgehammers, don't make it an accident, make it on purpose. Like the reason you break the buddy cop formula is to kind of comment on it, right? So what if you have two sledgehammers? Well, you're going to have a really fucking violent pair unless you're actively like preventing that kind of stuff from happening. I like that idea a lot.
In D&D terms, they rolled low on their charisma, right? And they're trying to do something that requires a lot of it.
Exactly.
And they come in with all strength, and they're like, well, we screwed up.
If you want to compare it to a movie that we discussed earlier this season, The Old Guard, like every character in that movie is a fucking sledgehammer. There's no nuanced character to speak of, and they're all sledgehammers, and the movie totally just gets by on the charisma of its actors.
Yeah. Oh, so it's just the A-team.
It's just the A-team that just can't die.
How good would The Old Guard have been if all those characters had the charisma and like chemistry that this pair has? Holy shit.
That like all problems forgiven. Like
really, it goes a long way. Like I genuinely, like I said, the end of this movie notwithstanding, this movie almost gets away with being a good movie just for the pairing.
Yeah.
We did get away from Terry Hatcher too quickly for me. I do want her to join in on the shower scene, and it be just like a big bombshell, like, whoa, she's actually in the shower, and you don't see anything. Everything's got that, that wall that we're kind of looking over, and we don't see anybody, but she just comes in and acts all badass, and then everyone's just like, why is she in here? What the hell? And then just mic drop and walks out.
To argue with them, or to what end?
I don't remember because it was a while ago that I was trying to say it.
I want a towel fight just for the sake of having a towel fight. That just might be a me vibe.
I would like that as like kind of a...
I was throwing it in there for Erin. She was going to build off of it for me. That's what it was.
Yes, I built off of it to towel fight. That's where I went because I'm like, oh, that's a sexy towel fight. And then I'm like, oh, wait, siblings. But we just need to make her in... No. So okay, Cash is in the middle. Tango's on one side. She's on the other. Okay, it's cool. There's no more incest.
I mean, they don't specifically have to be related either. I don't know...
Yeah, take that out,
how
please.
important that is.
Yeah, you know what?
Because literally, they're only related so that Stallone has a reason to be protective of her.
Yeah, and so there's no like love triangle set up.
Right. And not saying there needs to be. I mean, maybe Tango is just gay, but he's like not, identifiably so, and that's the big like mic drop thing at the end is like,
I just want a throuple. Can we just have a throuple?
Cash thinks
that's all I want in my life.
Cash thinks there's this competition for the girl, and then at the end he's like, yeah, that's not exactly my style. That would be funny to me.
Or you could have the fact that it's the 80s and he's trying to not give away that he is actually gay.
Well, yeah, he's like...
So he has to put on like ultra masculine.
Yeah, because military was don't ask, don't tell. Police filled a similar thing.
He's basically...
so he's over machoism.
He's Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes!
Yeah.
I fucking love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I like that.
Wait, let's just make it Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Period. Done. We're done with this movie.
I can't...
Put Tango and Cash in Brooklyn Nine-Nine and tell me that wouldn't bang.
No, I mean, that show gets away with them all being cops on the fact that they're all genuinely very good people. So I feel like it puts blinders on the whole, issue with their job.
Yeah.
And the entire cast has exactly this level of chemistry. Everyone on that show interacts beautifully well.
It's so good. I have to admit, one thing that's hard for me about this film looking back is just, this is 3 years before the LA riots, and they are California cops, and I'm like, it's real hard for me to suspend disbelief when you're telling me anything other than the fact that all of these motherfuckers are corrupt.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to feel bad for Kurt Russell after he tortures a suspect in the bathroom for no actual good reason. So
Aaron, we covered this.
I know, but I want them to be a little more sympathetic. Like, you can make them do bad things that are easier to come back from than outright torturing suspects.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason I wanted to have Terry Hatcher's character be the internal affairs, because maybe they have a history of doing stuff like that, and while they don't want to get rid of two really good people in the force. If they have a history of it, maybe that's something they want to slowly correct. So this is about them learning that being a sledgehammer doesn't always work, and then your finale can be the payoff of, yeah, but when you need a third act to happen, 2 sledgehammers is more fun than 1, and then you get that kind of 80s gleeful, shoot 'em up kind of stuff. Not saying it should be a monster truck rally, but
Sorry, I need some social commentary in here real quick. It must be nice to be able to torture somebody and then you just get put on like performance improvement instead of like, shackled.
Yeah.
Put
I
away
wish I could
forever.
suck my job that bad, like that maliciously bad, and it's just not no big deal, friend.
And
Mistakes happen.
And changing them to be an FBI agent and a PI also like removes some of that. That aspect
not
of it.
the LAPD.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe they both like don't get along well with the cops. Maybe that's why the cops are like keen to come after them once they get disgraced.
There you go. Play into the fact that the LAPD was corrupt.
Exactly.
Maybe they're the only good cops and they try to go against bad cops, and that is what gets them in trouble because that makes them sympathetic characters. If they're doing bad things to bad people and characters that most people will agree are bad people, corrupt cops, I think it's totally a little bit less bad than just this
show the
random
high ground
guy.
actually being worth it for once instead of
Right.
always having to take the low road.
Yeah.
That leads us into, I think, for me, the major thing that needs to change: the villain's plan.
Ah!
Yeah.
So if it's just like someone's going to be...
Seth, before we continue, can you tell me what was the plan?
I was gonna say, can you call it a plan?
I want to make the world hate Tango and Cash so that they can be put in prison because I don't feel like killing them because apparently that will make them martyrs and bring the cops down on them.
You know what it is? It's the same plot line as Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah, but bad.
But bad, yeah.
Poorly
Die Hard with a
executed
Vengeance
vision.
doesn't make any sense plot-wise, but at least it's fun and it's well-directed.
Well, and at least the villain has a connection of like, oh shit, it's the guy that I killed brother. Holy shit, it's
Yeah.
revenge.
Yeah.
Like,
Coming back for revenge 20 years later.
why not?
I
Took
do
a little while.
understand the motivation of not wanting to have your legacy and your reputation tarnished, but like they don't have a family or like kids or like anybody that's going to have to live with their legacy.
Right.
So it doesn't have any weight. So if we want to do this whole, we're going to disparage you and make you look like shit and then we're going to kill you, you have to have consequences. People that have to live, like, okay, your sick, dying, disabled child is not going to get your pension if you're a disgraced cop. So that's why it matters that you've been disgraced.
Right.
There's no stakes to the disgrace in this, and that's why it fails as a plot point.
Oh, absolutely, because they just love their jobs. What they're going to lose is a thing that they love, which is their career.
Tango just likes the action. He doesn't even love his job per se.
Right.
He makes more money day trading and being an Armani ass pants model or something, I think.
Dude,
that's where I think he got his money
he's
from.
definitely like the prototype for an LA influencer type.
that cake.
Yeah, I think I almost don't want the villain to be powerful. I think like a revenge bent kind of thing makes more sense to me. And if not that, then some kind of like again, if we're gonna ape Batman as much as the original movie did, why not do like a kind of long Halloween? Like this is a continuing thing. It's one person that's laying siege to a city through fear and assassinations and things like that. So there's actually a mystery for the cops to unfold, and not just, God damn, we need to clear our name and fuck up the people that fucked us up.
Or hell, have it be like there's terrorist actions happening across the city, so that way it diverts the police attention away from drug trafficking.
Ooh.
Like you're blowing up like shopping malls or something like that, in order so that way the cops are focused on that and not diverting funds over to narcotics.
Gotcha. Okay, I like that.
I know that's still somewhat convoluted, but you can kind of get away with that a little bit. I mean, that's kind of what the plan was in Die Hard with a Vengeance, is that he's causing all this crazy destruction just to divert attention away from the fact that it's just a heist.
Right.
Yeah, the cops are occupied doing this thing over here, so that way they don't recognize the other thing going on over there.
Well, what if it's a situation where, like, they see some other cops do something dirty and then those other cops try to pin it on them? So it's people that have equivalent power? Or, like, if they're not cops, like FBI, like, somebody that's in a parallel role, so you almost have a villain that is, like, just the evil version of your hero. And so it's completely balanced in a way.
Okay.
What if the big bad guy accidentally gets elected to something when it was actually a joke, right? And they go for a second term, but they get beaten. And so now they're out for revenge.
The issue is we need a villain that can actually run away from the scene of the crime.
Oh!
Yeah,
Okay.
but apparently this guy,
Helicopter.
the guy that we're discussing, apparently he's just overweight and he can't run, so therefore he gets caught instantly.
Yeah.
Are you saying he couldn't even run for his second term?
Couldn't physically run either?
Can we have a scene set at the Four Seasons? Because I think that would just be apropos at this point.
Between a crematorium and a dildo shop.
Absolutely.
It needs a ball pit like DashCon. That is a joke that only a very small subset of our audience will get.
Oh, I get it. Somebody peed in
I'm
the ball
sorry.
pit.
I'm sorry,
it.
Jesse.
No, I know.
Getting us back on track.
Sorry.
What if we did a reverse Die Hard with a Vengeance? The corrupt cops are the ones committing the crimes to divert things away from narcotics so that they can get money from the drug rings in the city. So I'm a drug dealer, and I am paying the cops to the dirty cops to commit crimes that pull the force away so that no one's really looking at me while I'm doing my deals. Maybe every time, a bomb blows up or, whatever we land on for the action to bring the cops in, whenever they're being diverted, there's a big push to, like, this is when they're bringing all the stuff across into the city. This is when the all of the, like, mule cars are out on the street. You could even go from, like, have a scene where they're looking at traffic control because they got led there, and then they're like, it's a slow time for traffic in the city right now, and then all of a sudden you see like a convoy of cars, and it's like, well, that's really weird. And oddly, like, the action that happened over here was kind of freed up traffic around here so they could get through really quick. That's kind of odd. And the reason...
Wait, this is just the Italian job.
Kind of. Yeah.
I love it.
Kind of.
Yes, I'm here for that.
But the reason that Cash was going to get assassinated is he's been investigating the dirty cops.
Oh, so the cops are directly tied to drug trafficking within the city of Los
Exactly.
Angeles.
Yes,
There
I
you
mean, that
go.
makes
Okay.
sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Wasn't that actually true at that point in time? Weren't they putting, like, coke on
The
street
CIA. Yeah,
and
the
crack?
CIA was doing that.
No, but I think the LAPD was putting crack on the street back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Well, the CIA was putting things onto the
Allegedly.
streets so that way the police force would bust people in lower class, impoverished and ethnic neighborhoods. So that way they could clean up, quote unquote, the neighborhood and allow contractors to go in and build condos and high rises.
And
So we just have the cops helping the CIA in this plot,
Yeah,
and it's
that-
historically
that totally works too.
I know this plan sounds incredibly convoluted, but this actually did
Yeah.
happen.
happened in real
This-
life. Yeah.
This is documented.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Was it Tom
Yeah.
Cruise in that movie where he what's the fucking thing where he flies the coke plane?
Oh.
American Made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good. His wife in that movie is like 27. He's almost 60, and it just
Oh
is
God,
so
why is it so
it's-
gross?
I'm pretty...
Yeah, I wish he would stop doing
I'm
that.
almost convinced that in his contract it says that his character must be between 35 and 45.
I did hear a funny thing. This is a weird tangent, but for the 2017 Mummy movie, the woman that's the co-star of that film, I can't remember her fucking name. She was that interesting in the movie. His co-star, when they do that run through the library, when all that sand is rushing through the city of London, originally she wasn't going to run with him, and she was like, "Oh, let me run beside you. We're running away from the danger together." And Tom Cruise said to her, "Nobody runs with me."
Oh,
I'm not
puke.
making this up. But eventually, because she thought, oh, you can't keep up with me. But eventually they were running together and she was able to keep up with him, and then they allowed it to stay in the movie.
Interesting.
I wanted to Google Tom Cruise really quick, and the autocorrect was the first thing that Google selected was, what disease does Tom Cruise have? I'm like,
oh my god.
I mean, is it the disease of
Scientology?
what the fuck is Scientology?
yeah.
No,
How many thetons does he have in his blood?
apparently he's hit the level where he doesn't have any thetans on him anymore, and he can psychically heal people with his brain powers.
Oh, so he's Jesus. Okay.
I mean, do you think he disagrees with you?
No.
I mean, he thinks he's still in his 20s. So.
I mean, eventually.
He's filming a movie in space right now. That's what I was actually Googling, and there's this race to be like the first one to film a movie in space or something like that, and apparently some Russian actress is going to beat his record or something like that. It was really
good.
Weird. Yeah. I saw that earlier today, so I was like...
Leave it to fucking 2020 to make another space race boring.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Anyways, Tango and Cash. We're basically making a action Die Hard movie out of the actual events from the late 80s and early 90s during the crack epidemic.
Why do I always go back to history?
Yeah.
But then it's topical.
Yeah, it's very topical, and also it allows the finale of the movie to be kind of a reverse heist where they're taking out all the important people so that maybe whatever the next attack was going to be doesn't happen. And then you get like an actual satisfactory wrap up. I would love to see Jack Palance play like a corrupt CIA agent too. He's just with the white hair, put him in a suit with a bunch of like young guys under him. Oh God, he would look exactly like the right character for that.
I mean, change him to that. Change him to a CIA operative.
I like it.
And more
don't make
Mark
him
Alimo.
What was that?
What?
I want more Mark Alimo.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So
Have him
after-
be his right-hand man.
After they get
Yes.
the big drug bust and everything, why doesn't a side character then that they missed, one of the corrupt people, takes a bag of coke and just puts it in the back seat of one of the cars, like a personal vehicle, and then it's like, oh, you tried to take that, boom, you're going to jail. So now
Yep.
we have our sequel set up.
Oh, interesting.
Like it?
Okay.
Then the second film opens up with them in prison.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
What?
Easy peasy, it's right there.
What kind of soundtrack do
wait
we
a
want
minute.
for
This is just the raid.
Kind of.
This is the first raid, and then the second raid starts out with him in prison.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
So this is the raid 1 and the raid 2. Okay. There you go. Yeah,
But what
perfect.
kind of music do we want this time? Do we want to go with like a synth score just better, or do we want to go with like classic 80s music, or
just straight
like, what do we
Beverly Hills
want?
Cop, just take it, steal it.
Yeah, just Beverly Hills
Well,
Cop.
I think the visuals.
I think given the time of give the musical composer some time to actually make a good score, I guarantee he can make a good score.
Yeah, I can.
Maybe don't do it like 3 weeks before release.
I can see synth working, but also because of the topic matter and the kinds of action scenes that the movie has, I could totally see like a Poison soundtrack or a White Snake soundtrack or just really like driving hair metal kind of things whenever things really ramp up. And then you have like softer John Carpenter synth for the low-key investigation stuff.
Oh, so like the movie Cobra.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. How about that?
Yeah, I'm into that. I feel like synth doesn't get big enough for like big action scenes, and that's where I really want the like, screaming guitars and dive bombs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Twisted Sister, we're not going to take it. We're tired of all these corrupt cops.
Exactly. And also,
Or I got it. Who was the guy that did the soundtrack for the Transformers movie? Was it Vince DiCoco? Was that the
I don't know.
Vince DiCola?
Trying to remember what
looking
the
it up.
Transformers soundtrack actually sounded like.
Steve
offhand.
Jablonski? Steve?
Not those, you asshole.
What?
The original one, the good one.
Oh, okay.
Ouch.
Okay.
Damn, Jesse.
Yeah, dude.
Vince DiCola.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the cartoon Transformers movie. Yes, I feel that.
Oh, hey, he did the soundtrack for Rocky IV. So there you go.
There's the tie-in.
I'm down
There's
with
the
it.
tie-in.
Also, Barry Sonnenfeld is not getting fired from this movie. That's going to be my retroactive save.
He's our director.
Ooh. Okay. I was actually thinking Tony Scott.
I was thinking John McTiernan.
Oh.
I mean,
Why not?
why not? What was John McTiernan doing at the time this was being
1989. He was. That would have been right after Die Hard. Oh, he had 2 years off. Hunt for Red October came out in 90, so technically he would have had time to make this.
Hey.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, John McTiernan, Barry Sonnenfeld, one of those guys.
And on the set.
Or hell, Catherine Bigelow. I think Point Break was not too long
Oh,
after this.
true. Oh man, I
Or
wish
Spike Lee.
I wish Gary Busey and Keanu Reeves had the chemistry that Kurt Russell and Stallone
Yes.
have.
Oh my god, yes.
Give me 2 burritos. Oh man. So Tango and Cash, as directed by, take your pick, Tony Scott, if you really want to keep all the sweaty, oiled up dudes. Then John McTiernan, if you want the more Die Hard with a Vengeance feel, which is my favorite Die Hard. Not the best one, but it is my favorite. So I'm here for that. And yeah, I'm the score change is perfect. I think we've hit all of our major issues with the movie too. Yeah, I'm a fan of this change, especially because you know what? I have one thing I want to touch on. The scene where they torture the British guy,
Brian
James.
Mm-hmm.
That scene in its entirety can remain in the film.
I completely agree.
With the
It's a
dog.
good
Yeah,
scene.
that was
It's
pretty good.
It just in context with the film we currently have, doesn't quite work.
Especially because when they're hanging him upside down by his feet and he's like, "Drop me, I dare you." Oh my God, just
Yeah.
what a great character moment. Just perfect.
Yeah.
It was, and that's the comedy I'd like to see come out. Like when you undo the buddy cop tropes. That's
Yeah.
kind of what we're doing. We're like satirizing the buddy cop by pointing out that in real life these plots actually happened and were kind of insane, and then B, using the film language and turning it on its head. Every scene that we've pitched so far is basically the inverse of what would happen in a buddy cop movie.
Right. And I think Kurt Russell struggling to hold the guy's leg was also quite nice. He looked like he was at any moment going to drop him out of sheer just, I'm tired, I can't hold this guy anymore.
Oh yeah, dude! Suspending your arms like that with 100 pounds, because let's say the guy's 200 pounds and 2
Yeah.
people holding him. Whew, that's
It's not easy.
no, not at all.
Reminds me a little bit of that scene in Commando where he's Arnold Schwarzenegger's holding that guy over the edge of the cliff by his one arm, and he's like, "This is my weak arm, Sonny."
Be quick.
God, I love Arnold.
Oh man. Okay, so this is the last little section. This is the Patreon content. This will be short and quick and fun. Tango and Cash. What a pairing. What are 2 action leads, regardless of decade when they were big? You get to pick them from their biggest decade and pair them with somebody else that was also had a big, huge run. We're not doing Expendables. We're not doing every action lead in the same movie. We're doing buddy cop pairings.
I would force Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone to be on screen and to capture their actual animosity towards one another.
Well, they're friends now, but at the time, yeah, there was a bit of a
Right, and I'm talking circa Terminator 1.
Yeah, the like reverse chemistry. We want to see how much they hate each other on screen.
Hate. Just hate.
Okay, I like that. That's a good pairing. Jesse, how about you?
Clint Eastwood from the Dirty Harry era and John Boyega from the Star Wars era.
Oh,
Smash
dang.
those 2 guys together,
you
see what the
stole
hell
half of
happens.
John Boyega and Jackie Chan.
okay.
That's just Rush Hour.
No, it doesn't have no because John Boyega he's not not in like that type of a heavy comedian role, but like in a meaty dramatic role.
Okay. Well, yeah, he did one with that film Detroit, which didn't do very well.
Wasn't that like a big director on that? Who directed Detroit?
Catherine
That's
Bigelow.
right. Yeah. How did that not do well?
It didn't make. It just came out at a bad time.
Oh, interesting.
The reviews on it aren't awful. It just didn't seem to make a tremendous amount of money. Seems a little bit mediocre, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh no! Wait, no. It commemorated the 50th anniversary of the event that it's based on. Oh, so it was 1967 12th Street.
Yeah.
riot.
It was a historical.
Oh, I thought it was like something.
No.
Okay. Well,
No, and it's pretty.
I don't know why it didn't do well.
It's really
Weird.
good. I mean, you have some heavy hitters that were about to blow up at the time too. A lot of like big names in movies now, or movies last year, I guess I should say, that got roles in that, and they're just acting their asses off. You can tell it's a resume vehicle for everyone involved. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, you got at least one scene to really chew the scenery, and then they get to put that on the resume, and it's really, really cool overall.
It came out against the film Kidnap and the Dark Tower movie.
I got another one.
What a bad weekend. Ugh.
Zoe Saldana and Uma Thurman.
Oh,
Like Kill Bill era Uma Thurman or Pulp Fiction era Uma Thurman. I think that the two of them together could be like a badass buddy cop chick, like martial artists, but also gun wielding badasses. I think that could be really interesting.
Are you not just pitching Kill Bill
Sigourney
3?
Weaver and Zoe Saldana? I think they could be an interesting pairing too, in like a sci-fi context, since they've both done a lot of like
Aaron,
space shit.
That's just Kill Bill 3.
She may not be able to hear us.
Aaron.
Hello?
Oh.
It suddenly got very quiet. What was the last thing you guys heard from me?
Aaron, what you literally pitching was Kill Bill Volume 3, which is supposedly in the works.
Oh, Sigourney Weaver and Uma Thurman are in Kill Bill.
No. Your first one. I was saying that
Oh.
Zoe Saldana
and
is
Uma
basically
Thurman.
the daughter from Kill Bill 2 that witnesses.
Oh. Yeah.
That's literally the plan for Kill Bill Volume 3.
I did not know that. I didn't even know they were making a third one. I
don't think
have fallen out of
Tarantino's
love with
directing,
Tarantino.
but that's literally the plan.
Oh, that's why I don't care.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
I'm sure it'll be fine,
Savage.
but that's it.
Okay, so I have an idea, and the pairing is not your normal pairing. So I want Peter Weller, RoboCop era. So like all smiles, really happy. That era Peter Weller, and then I'm trying to find her name. It's Rose something. She's in John Wick. She's the deaf assassin in John Wick.
Oh, Ruby Rose.
There we go. Ruby Rose as his daughter in a like father-daughter action movie pairing. He's like maybe a retiring assassin or some like covert ops guy, and he's passing the torch off to his daughter who he's been training like for years. But the change is she wants to be like him. He wasn't even initially going to train her. Like he didn't want to be harsh on her or anything like that. He's like a good loving father, and she wanted to be trained, and now she's like the best in the biz, and they both get hired together for like his last job and her first job, like first official job. I would eat that movie up. That just sounds like so much fun.
It exists.
Yo, what?
It exists. The Professional.
Oh yeah. But I'm
It exists.
But I'm like with an adult, it's a
well, yeah, and not the creepy pedophile stuff.
yeah,
it's-
like
that movie is pretty much ruined by the creepy pedophile stuff, especially because of all of the real life creepy pedophile stuff.
right, like
Yeah.
she's a grown operative, and they're just like the thing is like at any time people try to come between them, they've known each other their entire lives, and they're so well bonded to each other that they have these like little micro things that they understand, and so they can kind of communicate without actually talking. They know each other so well, and so it's just I would die to see a movie like that, where it's like, it's not like, usually when you get those kind of stories, it's really ugly, like the dad's like, you know, half torturing his daughter or son into being a, you know, superhuman killing machine, and it's like, I don't want that. I want it to be like something they enjoyed doing together, and it just happened to be, you know, guns and karate and all the good stuff for an action movie.
Okay.
That's
for
my pitch. Any final thoughts on Tango and Cash, our pitch, what we have so far?
We need a dog, I think, just because I've confused it with Turner and
It's
Hooch.
not Turner and Hooch.
We just need a dog. There just needs to be a dog.
What's that awful Jim Belushi movie? Was it K-9?
Oh,
that came out around the
yeah.
same time. It's a German Shepherd. German Shepherds are used in the police force. There you go.
Down with
There
it.
you go.
What if we had a Tom Cruise cameo with a dog?
Yeah. We're gonna have a first. We're gonna have a first German Shepherd. We're gonna have two of them soon.
Oh, and
What if Tom
the
Cruise
White House.
plays the dog?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
what if
He's just
Tom
a
Cruise
furry.
runs alongside the dog?
He's just as fast as a dog.
Tom Cruise is as fast as a dog. I honestly would not be shocked, but also I honestly wouldn't be shocked to find out that he does like infusions of blood from young people to stay young or something like that. That's a real thing.
He's actually Elizabeth Bathory.
Yeah, I know. Keith Richards did
Yeah,
that shit.
that's a real thing. You can, if you're young and healthy, you can donate your blood to old people so they can infuse it into themselves. It does nothing scientifically. It does absolutely nothing. But
Well, apparently, like, Keith Richards would, like, filter out his blood because his blood was so destroyed by all the fucking heroin he injected into his cock. So it's like, there's a whole sketch from Robin Williams about that. It's like every now and again he goes to Germany and he transfuses all of his blood. Not like one pint, but like a whole fucking Chevrolet, all of it. My question is, who gets his blood? Is there some German person going, Heidi, we have to go on tour, you bitch. We have to pay for mixed babies.
it would
Come
be
on!
hilarious to me if that, like, because this sounds like the plot of like a Joker movie where they remove Keith Richards' blood and put it out into like hospitals, and it's like turning people into the Joker.
No, that's the plot of Arkham
Yeah.
Knight.
That's cool as
Yeah.
shit.
That's Arkham Knight. Yeah, people are getting infected with the Joker's blood. They're going crazy.
I would love the real world version to just be it's Keith Richards and somebody mixed up the paperwork, and now like
It's just a clerical error.
In fairness, I could see him as like an older Joker character.
absolutely.
I think that could totally work.
oh yeah, Dark Knight Returns version of Joker. Absolutely, I'd love to see that.
I feel like if there was a clerical error, it would be like Richard Simmons instead.
Ah! Not in America.
He's like missing or something like that. I think they think he's being abused or something. Like outer abuse is happening.
No, wasn't,
Oh God!
Wait,
What?
wasn't that a made up
Richard Simmons is
podcast?
like-
Wasn't that like an ARG podcast that got real popular?
I don't think that's
No,
real.
okay.
Aaron.
There's definitely a podcast called Richard Simmons is Missing.
Yes, he went like a while without making a statement, and
Yeah, so that
yeah.
podcast was an ARG.
Yeah, but it was based on the fact that he actually like disappeared from public life for a while, like for like a year.
Oh, that I mean,
Yeah, he
he
returned for the first time in 6 years back in April of 2020. And apparently he's helping us stay in shape during lockdown.
oh, good for him. My mom
for
had
him.
2 of his tapes, sweating to the oldies.
That's right.
I think this is a good closing area for the podcast.
Yeah, I think
We
we're
need a
done.
Richard Simmons cameo if it's set in the late 80s.
See, now that you've said that, people have to listen to the Patreon episode to understand why we're talking about Richard Simmons
Ooh.
or Keith Richards or
Can they go to get the Patreon content? Lisa?
hey,
Or the Chimera, Keith Richard Simmons.
there you go. Great question, Jesse. They could go to patreon.com/Montresor and for $1 get access to the uncut version of this podcast. I appreciate everyone that has been donating, continues to donate. As that grows, we get closer to our goals that once COVID is lifted, we can maybe get into a little studio and maybe do a YouTube video version of this this whole shebang. Wouldn't that be fun?
Mm-hmm. Well, now that Biden is going to be the president, he's going to refund the CDC, and we're going to actually have a vaccine
Thank
again.
Christ.
Yeah. Thank fucking God.
I hope that gets fast tracked, because I would love to be able to go to his. I would love to be able to go to his inauguration. It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you guys tell the people what you do out in the world? Josh, we'll start with you.
I play lots of games. Right now I'm playing Phasmophobia, and I have a friend that's streaming us all the time on twitch.tv/alostmelody. If you want to go and give my buddy a follow, it would be much appreciated. And why don't you hop in, watch, and see us get really scared. It's fun.
Wonderful. And then do you have a Twitter handle you can drop?
I generally don't use Twitter, so no.
Okay, perfect. We'll go to you, Jesse.
Working a dead-end job at the moment while COVID's going on, so there's nothing special there. But on the side, I've been editing most of the episodes of these shows, and we've been doing a lot of what we call quick fix episodes for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
We just put out an episode for Godzilla 1998 and also Hitman from 2007. What's the next one we have lined up, Sal?
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one, fuck that movie, but the first one, you can rescue that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll be doing Silent Hill at some point. And also, we have another show called Split the Difference, where we take an original film and compare it to its remake. The next episode we'll be discussing will be Suspiria, the original versus its remake, and it's a good change of pace, because we had a couple episodes where one was really good, one was really bad. Now we have two really good ones, so it's going to be nice to have two really good movies to watch next
Perfect.
weekend. Also, we also have eventually coming up are going to do the last episode of the season for That Weird Ass Game, where we talk about weird and unusual games. We're going to be talking about Spec Ops: The Line. I just recently started the playing through it again, now that I finally have a little bit of free time. And PlayStation Now is an awful service. Never fucking use it. Never use it.
Save your money, honestly.
Save your money. It's a waste of time. Yeah. And if you want to get in touch with me, just find me on Twitter at HardcoreBshot.
Wonderful. And then we'll end, but not certainly least, if that's the way that saying goes.
Thanks, I think.
It's the end, but not the worst end.
Yes. Aaron, tell the world about what you have.
Hi, you can hear me on the Palate Cleanser podcast, where all of us discuss movies that do not that do not suck, and movies that we feel nostalgic about. I don't even know what movie we're discussing next. It's a surprise.
It's Brandon's pick. He's been away for a while because he's doing quality check work on Blu-rays.
He's been doing some really cool
Oh,
shit.
absolutely.
Which is awesome. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I am at Aaron Moriarty YT. I have a YouTube channel, and also you can find my other shit on Linktree. My username there is Aaron Moriarty.
I think when this episode goes out, Existens will be out as the newest episode of Palate Cleanser. Well, you've been listening to the Film Rescue Show. I appreciate you guys sticking around till the end. You are the real OGs if you stay for the final parts. Sometimes we get real silly back here, too, so if you never listen to this, I guess you wouldn't hear this either. So I'm just talking to the realist, the good ones, the ones that listen all the way to the end. And we appreciate you being here. Next time we'll be talking about Alien Resurrection. I'm laughing because I can not say that title without thinking about the creature design for the final Alien.
Jesus Christ.
That movie's so dumb.
It's dumb and it's ugly. It is the ugliest fucking movie. I swear. It's like it's a yellow everywhere. It's so gross. What does vomit look like as a film?
Yeah. Good luck to future us on that one.
Oh man, we're gonna have
that's
fun.
That's how we're gonna end this one. Thank you so much for listening, and good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Sleep.
That remake was probably the most uninspired remake I've ever seen, ever.
we're never touching it on Split the Difference because I know that it's like, what are you talking about?
It is like they slapped an Instagram influencer into the director's chair and just said, make a hour and a half Instagram post. Just do that. Because that's all it is. It is just like...
Yeah, it is the most boring, derivative, pointless film ever made.
The characters are void of, like, any charisma, any sexuality, any personality. I can't even tell you who's in the movie.
I don't even... I have not seen any marketing anywhere for that film.
Oh,
I know it exists, but I've seen it, but it is like, who cares?
It was all over, like, Instagram and YouTube and things like that. Like, it was almost exclusively marketed to, like, young millennials and older Zoomers.
Oh, here you go. A screenplay by Kurt Wimmer, the guy that created Ultraviolet. Yeah, he also did Equilibrium, but, you know, you only get one good movie in the tank.
One of Sean Bean's best on-screen deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this for Tango.
Unless you're counting Possessor, because Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Well, no, he doesn't die in that movie.
Wow, spoilers, dude.
Well.
God,
You
yeah, I
thanks.
just put it on my watch list.